Well, it was after you signed on, I think, that then you saw the announcement that Daisy was in this, and you were like, I have to be in this movie now. Is it true you sent Mimi a video of yourself running around with a kitchen knife?
Yeah. It's what I do sometimes. Yeah, I don't know. We had a great meeting, obviously, and I was inspired. There was a song that played, and then I just wanted her to feel that I was going to be okay with the dancing.
I mean, beyond that, did you do any other sort of preparation to get inside the head of a serial killer?
Well, at dinner tonight, I was just saying how grateful I was for that 2-week Canadian quarantine. Really did help sink things in. Yeah, but I think it just, once we kind of started talking about it, which was in, I think it was October or September even, you know, it just started with watching movies and documentaries on and every crime thing I could find and serial killer thing I could find, and then like going from that and then going further down a rabbit hole of like, you know, trying to find people that had met with serial killers and talked to serial killers and sort of what that experience was, and then our rehearsals and just sort of, you know, creating a backstory. And
You gave Steve a backstory?
it's in the film, I think.
Fair enough. I mean, I wanted to know more about your butchery skills, but that's okay. I didn't know if you went to the Sorbonne. But I mean,
We need one more night at least.
really love to break down too is your final dinner date scene. You know, because there's so many emotions in that. Like, it's silly, it's a little sexy, it's very sad, it's tragic. Daisy, would you like to start with that one? Your performance in that scene?
Yeah, we talked about that a lot, actually. Like, we had a lot of discussions about it. I remember as we were like heading back from set one of the days, we were like, it was the next day we were filming it. We were like, okay, so what about if I do this and then you do that? Like, we were trying to figure out, it's a very sort of nuanced scene, and tracking that like journey, because at this point as well, there's an ambiguity, I think, in where Noah's loyalties lie, and I really wanted to play that, but I also wanted to kind of work out how to pitch that manipulation so you do believe that he would get up and dance with her, I guess, which is also not what you expect to happen. So it was a really tricky one to pitch, and I think one thing we found early on was this shared sense of humour, and I think we pitched that very well in the first date, that they sort of find each other and get tickled by stupid things and like have a very silly sense of humour. So I think adding like the breast till last and that like really tickling her for whatever reason, and him finding that funny and him believing then that journey from humor to like raw emotion and it not like being a red flag for him. I felt like that was a really good rather than going straight away with the like, I'm into this or whatever. It was like a really great subtle way of sort of getting to that moment, if that makes sense.
Yeah, we were always very conscious of this connection that happens in the beginning of the movie, and I mean, I remember we would term the first half of the movie as like Blue or Valentine, and then the second half Blue, like we were like, oh, if we could only finish the first half, But that there was something about this connection that happened in the beginning of the movie that weirdly would somehow still sprinkle back around, and in a weird way was actually her way out. Once she came around to sort of understanding it, and I know we had lots of conversations about it with our producers and Lauren and Mimi and everybody, and we were very, very lucky to have their trust and just the collaborative process here, which was everybody's intentions always just kind of trying to see this thing for how specific it was, and being able to allow that to happen, and kind of the fact that we were all allowed to bring our best ideas to it, kind of was a very special part of it.
Well, do your parents like the movie?
My mom definitely, I think, was a little like taken aback by
your character,
by what was happening. But it's always like you were okay, right? Like it's always one of those. But
so questions out there. Who's got one? Right here.
I'm so disturbed. I had no idea what this was. I didn't know
God,
it was
I love
a horror film at all. Is there
front row?
Is there any intention of there would be no story if there weren't that 1% wanting the meat? Is there a sequel to go after them?
I don't think there will be, but we like to make jokes about it. Never say
Never
never.
say never. Right? Never say never.
For it.
Right here.
Noah and Molly, take them down.
I know, right?
This is such a different role for both of you. I mean, from things I've seen, what led you to want to do something different like this?
I think it was just that. It was something so different, you know. This is my first proper film as well, and I'd never like played an American character either. Oh, thank you. Thank you. So yeah, I also like I mostly had done sort of comedy and TV. So this was sort of a chance to be in something that I love dark humor. It's my favorite kind of genre. So it was just so fun to sort of delve into that and play the humor and play the sort of straight guy, I guess, in the film. And yeah, I just thought it was such an amazing script. I'd never read anything like it. So yeah.
I mean, I think you know, sometimes you read something and you really just can't stop thinking about it, and sometimes you know, if it's me, you know, I get scared at certain things, and fear is a very great compass for me at times, because it really feels like I have to go and kind of, you know, maybe unpack it and see if there's something I can understand from it or learn from it, and you know, I think there was so many things and so many subliminal messaging and done in such a clever way, you know, by Lauren, and just also just the way that the movie started felt so natural and organic and relatable in a way, and suddenly it was just sort of like, okay, how do you go from that to that, and what would make a person do this, and why? You know, we all start out as babies, and how do we get to, you know, how does that happen? And so it just becomes like a kind of a question to another question to another question, and then you just feel like you're thinking about it all the time, and then that feels like exciting to want to dive in and find out.
The dance sequence, like at the height of the story, is just so iconic, and actually the music plays a huge role in that, or at least I think it does. Was the song like previously chosen, and like you built that dance around it, or were you guys just moving?
I love that song. I was listening. Well, Mimi and I think we started with, first of all, very early on, I saw like a compilation of, you had put a mini film together of themes and songs and kind of, you know, tone of the film. And there was so many great 80s songs. And I love the 80s, you know, the songs. And so then we were throwing back and forth. And then I just was listening to that a lot. And then, I don't know, I think one rehearsal we played it. And
yeah,